All right, we're out here in the shop today working on the boat. Gonna start out with the exhaust, because once I get the exhaust finished up, then I can hook up all the rest of these water hoses and just be one step closer to getting it finished. Water box is where it goes, but this hose comes off of that end right there, and then I have to figure out how to make this work, which has a 90. It would have came out inside this tunnel, but out here. So this is going to get a hole drilled in the transom about there somewhere, and then we will try to figure out how to attach this to that. I didn't record it, but I got the speedometer driver thingy mounted on the back of the boat. It's just coming through there. I'll have to lengthen the wiring harness to get to that. I moved it to that side because I'm going to have the exhaust coming through right in here somewhere, and I thought it might be easier to not have all the stuff in the same spot. Waiting on a new exhaust tip for this thing that'll go straight out instead of having the 90 on it. This is the one that came with the jet ski, and it would come out somewhere in here, and that's not going to be as easy to line up as if this just came straight out. So I found a used one off of an older jet ski. It's supposed to have the same size tube, so hopefully that'll fit. Right now I'm going to work on mounting this box that I mentioned in the last video. I asked if anybody knew what it was, if they could tell me so I could know how to deal with it, and I got a comment from another YouTube channel called Self Marine, and they said that it's a regulator rectifier and it should be fine to mount under the seat. They build a lot cooler boats than I do, so you might check them out. But I'll probably just cut a hole in the back of this seat and mount it something kind of like that. Got my line drawn there. Looks like a puzzle piece. Because of how this mounts, the metal has to still come into these holes so that the screws will have somewhere to go through. So I'm not sure how I'm going to cut that out. I might try to get the jigsaw in there, or just cut them out square and then figure out a way to mount it once it's in there. It might be easier, so we'll see how that goes. Got this piece cut out after about 10 minutes of fighting with the jigsaw. It looks kind of junky, but once you slide that in there, it looks like it was made for it. So we'll get 2 holes drilled in these little tabs, put some screws in it, and that thing will be mounted. Moving on to the top of the seat, I got some fresh plywood here. This is treated plywood. Probably not exactly what you're supposed to use on a boat, but who knows how long this will stay together. So got the old seat laying on it, trace the line. We do have some hanging off here, but all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut one strip and then have a short piece that's attached separately to the seat, because this seat is going to be hinged to fold forward to get to all the electrical components, and this piece will be mounted solid, and that's where the controls and stuff are going to be. So I'm going to get this piece cut out and then get another piece cut out for that, and start working on getting it screwed in. And then once we get it mounted, we'll probably take it back off and put a coat of paint over this just to make it last a little bit longer. Got the new seat cut out. This is a separate piece because this is going to have a hinge on it, so it'll open up and you can get to all your stuff in there. So that's going to go there. This piece here will be mounted solid, and things like our stick steering will be mounted onto that. Not sure if this is going to be the handlebar I use. This is off the first JetJon that I built. I might cut apart the new handlebars and use those. Also, that will allow me to put my rod holders back on this side of the boat so the seat can flip up without knocking the rods out of the rod holders. So gonna work on getting these mounted. I've got some stainless steel piano hinges. Really like piano hinges. So those will get mounted on there. so that the big half of the seat will flip, and then we'll be good to go. Got my piano hinge clamped on for now. I centered, this is a 30-inch hinge, and this is about 47 inches from this side of the boat to the inside of that wood over there. So I kind of centered that in the middle. I'm gonna go through now with these little stainless screws and get it mounted. Probably end up coming back with something a little more solid than that, because I don't know that those little things are gonna wanna hold. But for now, we'll use those to get them held in so we can keep working and get this seat mounted. Got the seat sitting in here. I'm gonna have to trim my little filler panel over there a little bit, because I did move the seat over just a little bit that way, because when you tilt it, the front corner gets close and hits the side of the boat. But I got the hinge in there, just got a couple screws in it, because I didn't use the stainless ones because I didn't have a bit to fit them, and so I've just got sheet metal screws holding everything together for right now. So I'm just gonna call that where it's gonna be, and then I'm gonna try to trim this other piece so that this is all set in here, and then I can start figuring out what I'm gonna do for bracing the bottom of this, because I was thinking about it, and with this not connected, these seats are a little wobbly, so I'll probably run a couple pieces across here to tie that together and make the seat as rigid as it was before. Got my first brace put in. I cut a bunch of these out of, this is definitely marine grade wood here, don't worry about that. Got it screwed in on both sides. I'm gonna put probably 4 across there, just put them in spots that isn't gonna get in the way of other stuff. But that gives that somewhere to sit, and it also, just that one really makes the seat a lot more sturdy, so I'm gonna go through and put a few more in there, and then the seat will be done, ready to take this back off, paint it, and then also find the correct hardware to put it together. Got the battery out of the boat over here. Gonna work on a battery mount, which is gonna be a piece of this aluminum that's gonna go around 3 sides like that, and then there'll be another piece welded on that's going to go up over the top to hold it down. This is just a scrap piece of aluminum. It's not cut straight or anything, but should work to hold a battery in the boat. Let's see how it goes. Okay, I moved over here to the workbench. I've been just hammering on this, so that's going to sit just like that. Imagine the back of the seat is right on this back side. Now I'm going to do is get me another piece, and I was going to weld it straight to the top of this right there, but because this battery has a lip right here, I'll probably just lay it right over the front of this, which won't look quite as good, but it should be easier to weld for me, and I'll have a more weld on there, so it'll probably be stronger. Not that I think this is a very crucial strength point, but I'm going to get one more piece cut out and bent that's going to go up over the top, and we'll have a flange right here to mount, so we'll have 3 bolts holding the battery in the boat. Got this piece clamped up on the welding table here. Gonna try to get this tacked together, then I can move this clamp, and hopefully it'll weld together. So gonna weld it there, there, and there. Not that I think it needs it, but I just want to practice a little bit and see if I can make these things look a little bit better. All right, we're quite ready to unclamp that yet. Got it welded up. My welds look kind of like I soldered them together, but that's okay. It seems like the mounts are fairly straight with each other. I'm gonna go ahead and clean all these edges up and smooth them out so they don't have burrs on them. And next time you see it, we will be testing it in the boat. Got the battery in the boat with the mount. So that's just gonna get pushed up like that, and then I'll get some more stainless bolts, and we'll bolt that through the seat, and that shouldn't have any trouble holding the battery in. Got one bolt in it. That's a 5/16. I'm actually going to use 1/4 inch, but I used 5/16 holes, so I didn't have to be quite as precise. So that's holding it in there. Tomorrow I'll get new bolts and bolt that down solid, and that will be that for the battery mount. So next we'll move on, probably take the handlebars apart, get the mounts for the cables and stuff out, and figure out how we're going to do steering on this thing. Okay, so we're test fitting the seats, and I've got the old steering stick out of the other John boat, so I'm going to try to get in here. I'll fall over. Just seeing if this is going to work. Ouch, there's a C-clamp there. That won't be there in final installation. But just trying to see how it feels with the steering over here. Should be okay. Might actually move the seat just a little bit further over. Feels pretty good there. Probably go something like that. And we'll have a throttle here that you'll run with a few fingers. And that steers the boat.
Make some motor noises.
Okay, I've got this thing kind of screwed in here for temporary purposes, getting an idea of what we're going to need to mount this. These have a just like a little nub that those originally grab onto, and then there's another plastic piece that holds it on this side. So just trying to figure out what I'm going to do to hold that to that piece of wood, and then the steering will be sorted out. All I got to do for the throttle is hook the trigger back up on this thing, and then hook the cable up to the throttle body, and then the controls will be done other than mounting the buttons. Okay, this is what I got so far for my steering mount. I've just got a piece of stainless here that's bent at an angle with a hole that this cable goes through. I went to the store and bought some nuts that are the same thread pitch as this nut. This nut came out of the plastic nut that was originally threaded on there. Not sure what the difference is, but all of these these nuts threaded onto the bolt that I test fit this with, but they don't fit on here. So I had to cut the big plastic nut apart. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a washer on the back side of this, and then I'm gonna put a washer on the front side. I'm just gonna lock this down onto that stainless. And then I'm going to drill probably 3 holes in that and mount it to that solid, because I don't want that coming out while we're cruising. And then I might clean these edges up a little bit, round them off, and should be ready to steer. Got the seat mounted to the wood. This is all mounted, tightened up, so we have steering. You'll just have to trust me with that steering, because my arms aren't long enough to show you right now. But the mail finally came, and I got my new exhaust piece. This is off of a different Sea-Doo, but it's a straight outlet. They didn't tell me in the listing that it was melted on the inside, but hopefully that won't be an issue. I'll put the clamp up further so we don't get right here on this edge, and hopefully that'll be fine. But I'm thinking back here on the boat, I'll eventually run some strut work from here up to a deck that goes over the top of this, because I'm assuming that'll splash water into the boat. So we're going to come out somewhere right around here with the exhaust. So we'll just have to drill a big hole in the boat, and we'll be ready to install the exhaust. Got the exhaust hole cut in the boat. I didn't really record it. All I did was I used a hole saw that was one size smaller, just because I didn't have a 2 3/4 inch saw. And then I used the die grinder and moved it up slowly until it was the right size. I even cut a little groove for this, I don't know, it's like a little pin, I guess, to keep it from rotating while you're trying to tighten up the outside. So we'll get that taken out, clean the metal up, put some, it comes with a gasket, but I'm going to put some 5200 on the inside and probably a little bit on the outside, and then I'll put that new gasket, or it's not a new gasket, but the gasket that came with it, put it on there, get that tightened up so we can start curing. And then we'll just figure out how to hook up from there to there. Got our through hole fitting installed. Got a nice squish on the 5200. Should be watertight. I'm going to try to just use this hose, this is the factory hose that would have went into that little muffler thing. I think I can probably just pull and twist on that and make it work for now. And then if we end up covering this engine bay, we'll do something else to get that to sit a little bit lower, because that's higher than the motor is right now, but we'll see how it looks when we get it put together. Got the hose clamp attached to the water box. I could pull it and put it all the way on the tip, but it was kind of kinking the hose. So we had this piece of 2.5 inch intercooler piping laying around. I'm gonna cut it down so it's a little bit shorter, roll a bead in the end of it, and then I'll just hook it up just like that, except this will be back here somewhere. Okay, got, I don't know what I filmed last, but I had all the steering hooked up, went ahead and got the throttle cable hooked up. So that's doing that. I've got all the hoses hooked up now. The coolant overflow is kind of just there for now. I don't have anywhere to mount it. Eventually I'll probably get a longer hose for the bottom and relocate it over here or in the back corner somewhere. But for now it's being held up by all the other hoses. Everything is kind of where it's going to be for now. I was getting ready to start working on the transom because I got a bunch of holes from the old transom boards that need to be filled up or welded up. But while I was at it, I decided I'd go ahead and get some hooks. So I've got these hooks here off the jet ski that I went ahead and there were some existing holes that were kind of the right spacing, so I just enlarged them for the hooks, so they'll go in there like that. I got a block of wood I'm gonna drill holes in and bolt it on there. That way it has a little more footprint to pull on, and we'll be able to tie it down to the trailer. Got the holes in the transom all filled up. I was trying to weld some over here, but turns out I don't really know what I'm doing, so I'm gonna do a little more practicing before I try to weld those up. So I just put some silicone or 3M glue over them. Don't have any doubt that that will keep the water out. I was really hoping to get this thing on the water in this video to see if it's got any big leaks that I need to take care of, but it's been raining a lot lately and I had to wait on USPS for my exhaust tip that was supposed to be here 2 days ago. So hopefully in the next video we'll start this out with it in the water. I'll finish up whatever other little stuff I have to do off camera, and next time you see it we will be at some sort of body of water. But thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe if you want to see that, and we'll see you in the next one.